And start our warm-up. As you can see, we are doing here is equations like we introduced yesterday along with inequalities. So looking at this, we see that right here our constant is plus 3 for both of them. We notice that we see the equal sign and then the greater than sign, right? And so the opposite of plus 3 would be minus 3. And so there we see we have x equals 5, and then x is greater than 5. So because it equals 5, we would go in here. Oops, sorry. Let's go ahead and clear that. And what we would do is we would graph it on 5, put the dot on 5 there, right? And then because x is greater than 5, right, there's no equal sign, we put an open circle, right, because it's not equal, so it's not shading. It is, we notice that it's pointing this way to the right, so that means any number that's greater than that. And again, if we check it, let's say we use 7. 7 plus 3 is 10, and we know that it is greater than 8, so that does make it a true statement. Okay, make sure you've written in complete sentences for me. Now let's go ahead and take a step further. Now if we look down, we notice here that we have 2x plus 3 equals 8, and then 2x plus 3 is greater than 8, right? And so the same thing, we already did step 1. So we have 2x, right, equals 5, and 2x is greater than 5, right? And so the opposite of multiplying by 2, we know the inverse operation, right, our vocabulary, is to divide them by 2. And so we end up with 5 halves, or what we say is we have $5 and you and I are splitting it in half, so yet we end up with $2.50. So x for this one would equal 2.5, and yes, we can get in decimal. And over here we say x is greater than 2.5 to make this a true inequality statement. Okay, so moving on. Okay, for our notes today, we see here that we are just going to continue doing what we've been doing, right? And we are going to graph it. So, and the constant right here we see is minus 2. So we're going to say x plus 2. So that cancels out. Then we say 4 plus 2. Again, remember to always remember the sign. We're going to bring down the same symbol of greater than. You see it's pointing right, and we have 6. Okay, now remember, we're going to go to 6. We're going to circle it, right? It should be right there. And is it an open circle or closed circle? Not equal, not shaded, so it'll be an open circle, and we're going to shade everything there. And again, we talked about checking our work. So if I plugged in the number 10, right, 10 minus 2 is 8, and we know 8 is greater than 4, so yes, that's a true statement. All right, looking at this one, now we see that in front of our variable we have this constant of 9. He's constantly annoying that variable, so we have to get rid of it. If it's a 9 and there's no symbol, we know that's automatically a positive, so the opposite would be a negative. So we are going to end up subtracting 9 from both sides, and we end up with x is greater than or equal to, and here we see 11 minus 9, which gives us 2. So we go and find 2. We're going to put our circle around it, and we see that it's pointing right. So any number that's greater than 2 we know is 3, 4, and so on. And we see this line right here. What does that line represent? Correct, that it's equal to. So it is equal. The circle is shaded or closed, and we're going to shade to our right. So all the numbers that are greater than 2. All right, let's continue. So as we can see, here, they want to know which one represents the correct inequality when solving this. Okay, so let's go ahead, and the constant is constantly annoying our variable. It's a plus 8. So the opposite would be a negative 8 to both sides. That cancels out, and we have 5 minus 8. So let's think about it. we're $5 in the bank, but then we take out 8. So we have x, and we see that it's greater than or equal to, and again, what would be our possible solution? -3, right? And so we're going to go find -3. That's +3. We can eliminate that one. That one's +3. Okay, and so now I have two -3s. Now let's look at our arrow. It's saying any number that is greater than -3. What numbers are greater than -3? Would it be a -6 or a -2? -2, right? And because we have this little line right here, which is one of the equal signs, we know our circle is shaded because it is equal, and again, it's pointing right. You see these? So then our answer would be C. Okay? Make sure you have your notes, please. Check with your neighbors. Okay? All right, last one, and we're almost done. Let's look at this one. So here we see Alejandra has $600 in her checking account. She wants to spend part of it, right? And so she wants to have at least $250. What does at least mean? Remember, we talked about this yesterday. We need at least a 70 to pass, right? So it could be the minimum, right, that we need is 250 her account. So we see this right here, and then we see our symbol that it's going to be, it has to be lower than or equal to 600 because that's her maximum budget. So the opposite of plus 250 is to take away 250 from both sides. Write that with me. This cancels out. Now we have T. Okay, we're going to bring down the same symbol. She can only spend less than or equal to, and we do 600 minus 250, and we end up with what? 350, right? That's going to be her budget. So in order for her to keep 250 in the bank, her allowance to spend would be 350 or less. So again, which one represents that? Can she spend more than 350? Nope, because then she's going to run into her budget of 250. So it's, no, she can't spend 850. The max she has is 600, so our answer would be C. Okay. All right, my friends, let's look at your assignment today. Okay. So for today, you have a paper assignment. You're going to double check your work, make sure that it makes sense. Okay. Here again, remember your symbols. If it is equal, it is open, it is shaded. I mean, if it is equal, it is shaded, so it's a closed circle. Now, if it's not equal, the circle's not shaded, right? And make sure that you show your ambassador today, okay, that you have done this inequality here at the bottom so that you get credit for today. I am checking, and tomorrow touch base with those who are still pending their STAR review along with their IXL. For those of you that I sat down with this past week and told you about your MAP scores, please go in and practice the areas of focus that I showed you, okay? I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Go Mavericks!